Awesome. Welcome. I guess we'll let the number increase as we go. That way we don't miss anyone. Cool. All right. There we go. All right, guys, welcome. I'm super excited today to obviously share the stage with a couple of other rock stars as people start to get on here. Obviously, we're going to introduce ourselves, but welcome. Happy Monday. Going into a 5-week turn-in month, and myself and the other two that are on here are super fired up to hopefully leave you with some nuggets today. You'll probably hear some things that you've heard at one time or another, but in this business, it's a lot of copycat our leader in front of us and continue just to, rinse and repeat. So the topic of our call today is moving past first gear to SNA and to Slingshot. And we're going to be focusing primarily on the 4 keys. And we have 3 top producers on the call, people who have gone out there and done it and kind of figured out the system. We've all learned through massive action, correction, one of our 4 cornerstones, and probably the hard way at one time or another, but we're excited to share with you today. My name is Hayden Berger. I'm in the Faulkner Master Agency, also known as the A-Team, and the Brock Master, if you will. And I'm going to take a second to bring on the other 2. Obviously, you could see them on here, and they're going to introduce themselves, and then we'll get kicked off. So, Karen, why don't you go ahead and start? And Alicia, you'll go next.
My name is Karen Earhart, and I'm out of Plainview, Texas. I'm an agency owner with my husband, Jeff Earhart, direct to Derek Brock with the master agency under Marlon Faulkner. So just glad to be here and hope we can share something of value with you guys.
Hi guys, I'm so excited to be on this call with 2 amazing people, great agency owners. I look up to them a lot. My name is Alice Swann, and I am from Corpus Christi, Texas. I've been in Symmetry since 2018, and really am excited to be able to just share some nuggets with you guys today on how to move quickly within the Symmetry system. So again, excited to be on here and looking forward to, again, just sharing some insights that we've learned, through our careers here. There's lots of ups and downs. There's been more ups than there have been downs. And so again, like Hayden said, it's all about just follow the leader, right? And that's what we've done. And that's what's gotten us to, be able to be on here today. So excited.
Heck yeah, I'm super fired up, and I will obviously tell you where I'm at. I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma, office out here with Marlon from Texas. Don't hold it against me, but super excited to surround myself with 2 powerhouses, Karen and Alice, and I'll obviously share as well. But the reason we focus on the 4 keys, and if you're taking notes today, I want you to write this on your notepad. I can't see you, so I can't come over there and grab your ear and pull it down, but I'm going to go ahead and read off the 4 keys. And then we'll get started. So on your notepad, number 1 for the 4 keys is resources, activity, schedule, and systems. Okay. Now, what I'd like to do is, Karen, I'm going to start with you. And I'd like you to take us back, because right now we're speaking to a lot of people, some people who just got here, right? They're just getting started. They may not even be licensed, which, how exciting. Welcome. And we also may be speaking to someone, it could be someone like ourselves, after our first 6 months, maybe our first 12 months, maybe our second year, and they're looking to have a breakthrough, right? You can never repeat your first 90 days, but every day, when midnight hits, that clock starts over, right? And we get to choose what we do with the same 24 hours that you have, that Alice has, and that I have, right? So take us back to when you first started, and you probably knew what the 4 keys were, but did you actually use them, right? And take us back to that place. How did you implement them, if you did? And then also share with us, how do you use them today? How have they impacted you, obviously, as a new agency owner this year? How do you implement those in your business, and how have they allowed you to continue to have success?
Well, I'm a former school principal, and whenever I came into this business, didn't have any, background even in the insurance industry at all. And so I had to dig in deep to all the resources that were available and get training done. And I decided that I was going to follow my mentor, Derek Brock, and he is just wonderful to follow and has made such a great mentor to me. Whenever my husband was in high school, he played basketball, and there was a guy that was mentally challenged on the basketball team, and the coach had told him, just follow Jeff. And the way it played out was a little bit more, a little bit different than what they had intended. And Jeff's parents could say from the stands, they could see exactly what was going on. But whatever Jeff did, Big Leroy was what his name was. Big Leroy was exactly mimicking him. And Jeff thought, what is this guy behind me doing? But he had been told to do what Jeff did. And I thought, well, I'm going to be at least as smart as Big Leroy. And if Derek did it, then I wanted to do it. And I wanted to follow after him, do it the way he said to do it, because why reinvent the wheel? I could just follow the system, plug into the system that's Symmetry, and follow that path of success, hopefully. And so plugged into all of that. Of course, now we have Summit and all the really, really good resources that have been laid out for all of us to just pave that road, a little bit easier. Whenever I came on, you kept hearing people say, oh, you guys have it easier now, or this isn't, quite as challenging. And of course, I didn't know anything different. And I've been here a little bit less than 2 years, but I already feel the same way. I'm thinking, oh, you guys have this awesome Summit program and all of the things that are laid out that just continually gets better and better. And so I tried to plug into every training resource that I could. I've got them memorized. I can say it along with Ayers and Cicely Newsom. I can, just quote it as they said it, because I've listened to those recordings so often. And I think one of the other things that really helped me, and I kind of call it my butt and seat person, but one of the resources we need to have active access to are our people. And I'm of the age of everybody loves Raymond. And, they talk about having your butt in the seat. And whenever I have been tempted to stray or to think, oh, am I supposed to be doing this, or have those doubts that we all have as newcomers, I had that support team, not only of the group and Derek, but also my family. And my family has become a part of Symmetry. And so they, every time, and I don't want to get out of the seat anymore, but at that beginning time when you're thinking, oh, what in the world, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? I had those butt in the seat people as my resources to help me stay the course until I was more solid on my own.
That's awesome. So if you were looking at yourself as a brand new agent, obviously, coming out of a completely different career path. I mean, that wasn't insurance, right? That was students, and obviously probably some adults that probably were still kind of like students. And, but, taking yourself from being here less than 2 years, you're an agency owner, top producer. You have a growing team, people that are not following you because they have to, but because they want to, right? You're setting a good example. If you were to give someone any advice, a brand new agent just starting out, they've gotten the system, they've plugged in, they understand the 4 keys are resources, activity, schedule, systems. What would you tell them right now? Just one in a sentence or two, what would you give them to just say, hey, I just started, what next, in your own words?
To me, the thing that I've seen that has helped the people the most is plugging into the calls, and whether that be the national call or our group call with Derek, whatever it is, that has been the most helpful, because not only do you have the support, but you get the training, you pick up on the culture. To me, that would be my one thing, is to say plug in daily to all the things that are available to us.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Alice, the Swann, Alice, there you go. I'm glad that's an emoji. That makes it so much easier to talk about you. It's easy. But anyway, I'm super excited to have a second to speak to you too, and to share, obviously, with the rest of Symmetry Nation. But Alice, you've been a top producer the entire time you've been here. Incredibly consistent. You're no stranger to booking 15, 20 plus appointments in a very short amount of time. And I think it's because you've gotten very efficient, right? You took obviously a plan B off the table a long time ago, and you've been able to find consistent success. And that's something that gets rewarded here, right? You can't become a top producer. You can't become a seasoned new agent. You can't hit slingshot bonuses without being consistent, right? That's not a thing. So, take us back to when obviously you first started and till today, and just kind of run with it. I don't want to obviously hold you back from sharing something. So just kind of run with it and give us some nuggets.
Sure. So first of all, again, I am Director Jack Brock, who is under the Faulkner Master Agency. For me, when I first started, I felt like I was in an island by myself. So that particular group has a really good hub in the Tulsa area. And I always felt like, man, I wish wish I lived in Tulsa, right? Because I felt like disconnected. And so I really had to plug in to the system, right? Because it's what I needed in order to be able to grow. For me, being able to always be training, always be learning was really big for me. And the 4 keys, I heard them when I first started. I didn't know what the heck they were, right? Okay, where are these keys, and what do they do, and what do they open up? Literally, that's what it was in my head. But the stronger I got, the more I understood the importance of them. The very first one for me has always been resources. It wasn't until I really decided to follow the system that took me from an okay producer to a great producer. And it was always making sure that no matter what, whether I had policies issued or not issued, I was still buying my resources the next week. And so I think that is what's going to take a new agent, right? That's what I didn't do at the beginning to really get to a seasoned new agent and get their 6 policies. And then the second thing for me was the schedule. I mean, for me, it's really resources, schedule, activity, and then systems, right? Because I can't get the activity without having it scheduled in my calendar. And so on our team, everybody just kind of thinks that I'm this great appointment setter. I'm really not. I'm just very consistent and precise as to when I'm going to make my calls. And when it's call time and I've got that scheduled in my phone, that's all I do, right? I'm not looking up to see what quote I can get this person. I'm just going appointment. And I think as a new agent, you get so excited that you schedule an appointment that you stop calling, right? Okay, I got to get prepped for this appointment, but you just got to put it in your calendar. If you're, I call it DPT, dedicated phone time. So that's part of my schedule. I have that several days in my calendar in order to be able to get the appointments I need. And so again, you got to have the resources because that's the people we need to call, right? If you're not buying leads, it doesn't matter whether you're buying 50 centers or they're $2 or $4 or $30. You just have to have them every single week. When I first started, I was buying the middle, right? They were the 3A leads. They're now called something different. But I would get those at 50 at a time, 50, 50, 50, 50. And there weren't any premium leads, as I call them, the A leads available in my area. And so I just worked off the bonus leads, but I just never did not buy them. And there was a time there where I was like, okay, well, I haven't gotten a hold of all these 50 people, right? So I'm not going to buy leads this week. I'm going to try to keep working. And then I'd skip a week. And then the next week, I'm like, okay, I wasn't able to get through 50. Maybe I'm only going to buy 30, right? And now I've got 80, but in my mind, it's like I haven't got a hold of all 80. And so that's where my downfall was when I first started. I wasn't consistent. And so I think that if you follow those 4 key principles, right, the 4 keys to success, get your resources, make sure that you're calling them, right, have your activity, put it on your calendar, go by your schedule. If you don't really know what that means, get with your upline. They will look at your schedule, right, and see where there's holes where you're not being successful. And then, of course, like Karen said, the systems. I've always been on every conference call. I've been on every phone team. I'm just on everything because that's how I learn. So one little nugget somebody's going to share with me will be the day that I don't get on. And that can make a difference between being an okay producer and being a great producer.
Yeah. One thing that sticks out obviously between both of you is plugging in, right? Oftentimes, if you quit looking at calls and things that we do as being for you, like if you're a builder, and these things are not always for us, right? It's for those people that are going to be coming into this business and the people that that are going to be looking up to you, right? As you lead them. And I love what you said there too about your schedule, your resources, because in this business, you have to have non-negotiables, right? And oftentimes in this business, and I know I'm speaking to myself out there somewhere. I know there's another Karen out there and another Alice. And if you ever have that feeling of, man, you know what? I just booked these meetings. I did this, but I still feel like I need to keep dialing and dialing. That's probably because your schedule you don't own your time yet, right? Because you haven't gone in there and followed through with what you've implemented, right? It's one thing to create a schedule, right? It's another thing to execute it and stay on it, right? And it's easy for you to get burnt out when we don't follow a schedule. I know for myself, speaking about the 4 keys, I will say over a year, when I first got started, I was sitting out closer to Karen. I was running appointments 4.5 hours away in Midland, Texas, in Odessa. And I was sitting out there, and to be honest, I bought some leads, and someone told me to make a mess, and that's what I did. I just went out there and started going in homes, and not everything got issued, but hey, we got to learn. We got to make a mess and go clean it up. That's part of this business. But I will say, resources for me, just to break it down a little bit, is let's know our numbers, right? Let's know if we're going to go hit 70 to 75%. We know it's going to take 5,000 issue paid. We got to know how many leads we need. We need to know how many resources we need. We got to go put in the activity. What do the cornerstones say, right? 250, 300 calls, 5,000 a week, 15 appointments. That's our textbook, right, for success. So understanding that, plugging into calls, just taking yourself out of the equation, divorcing the result, plugging in, and just taking massive action and constant correction. So, Karen, for you specifically, and just to kind of reiterate some of the things that we said outside of, plugging in, put yourself in that, I just got started. I'm trying to figure out what to focus on right now. We know we need to plug in. Everybody talks about it. There's a reason that Marshall, Whalen, Edward Pritchett, Brandon, Brian, and Casey, everybody talks about plugging in. But outside of that, let's take ourselves back to that place and getting started. Hey, we have Summit, we have Fast Track, we have our first set of leads. Now what? How do we maintain that, right? How do we maintain the activity that we have? Because what are we focused on, right? Are we focused on a dial number? Are we focused on a production number? And share with us just a personal story from yourself. Like, what did you focus on that allowed you to develop that consistency? And obviously in less than 2 years, break out as an agency owner.
Well, I think that's a great question, Hayden. And I think it's the mentality of making the switch from being an employee to being self-employed to being the business owner. And, to look back on my principal background, I can look back at the day or at the week and give myself a grade, because no one is going to be directing your activities. No one is going to be lighting a fire under you to take care of what you need to take care of. You have to be self-motivated. And you can look back and say, did I do what I was supposed to be doing today? Did I plug into the system? Did I make my dials? This is making money. This is not making money, and you have to choose it as a self-employed person, or, eventually as a mentality of a business owner. And so I constantly will review myself, give myself a mental grade of, how well did I do that? Did I take care of business? Was I slacking off? It's real easy to procrastinate during the day for the parts that are not your favorite, but then they don't get done. And then the next day it's a little bit harder. And then you notice that your bank account's going down. And so taking it as a business that you're investing in those, the money that we're putting into it is an investment that you will get a return on, a nice return. But we have to realize that as a business owner of what you are investing in with the business costs. But then look at yourself. How am I using my time? Was I the most efficient? Was I the most effective? Symmetry is really big on a balanced life and spending time with your family. And you don't want to cut either one short. And so staying on that schedule and treating it like a business that you own and bossing yourself can help as a new person getting used to that kind of mentality and thinking. Yeah,
that's so good. I love that. Alice, same thing for you. And then we'll wrap it up. Take us back to there. Let's leave somebody with something that they can implement today. And let's give them something to put into action so they can go out there and crush this week.
Well, and just whenever we have these conversations, right, certain things will come up and pop. I'm like, oh, I remember that moment. I remember that moment. I think when I first started in this business, I came from a corporate job. I knew what my day was going to be like every single hour, right? And if it wasn't, there were people that I had to report to justify how I spent my day. And so I think for me, just managing myself, and instead of, hey, I started phone calls, nobody's answered. Okay, I'm going to wait a couple of hours. I'll go back in the afternoon. You never go back in the afternoon, guys. You can say that to yourself. But there's always tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. And so one of the things that I've recently learned is making calls early in the morning, right? Getting them out of the way, getting your scheduled appointments, but know that it's going to take you 30 minutes, a minimum of 30 minutes to get in what I call the zone. The zone. So I don't do any dial times under 3 hours. They're going to be between 3 to 6 hours. Well, 3 to 5 hours, I think, because we have phone team. But when I'm in that zone, it takes me a while because first of all, the jitters of making the first phone call, we all still have it, right? Oh, I'm going to get a no. Oh, I'm going to get hang up. Oh, they're going to get, it doesn't matter. It's going to be there. But once you get that going and you get in a rhythm and a pattern, you're not going to start booking appointments about 30 minutes after you started the process, in my opinion. And I think that's what's always helped me move forward is that I know that I need a block, right? It's not, I'm going to make 30 dials right now. No, I need to schedule 15 appointments, right? Minimum. And so once you get that, you hang up, the next one goes and the next one goes. It just becomes a rhythm. And so I think activity is the biggest opportunity that everybody can really look at your activity. Be honest and real with yourself. You are the boss. Would you fire yourself if you were an employee, right? And there's been times where I was like, I have fired myself on a Friday and rehired myself on a Monday with a new attitude, right? Because I wouldn't want to pay myself. I wouldn't want to pay myself as an employee if I wasn't doing the things that I said I was going to do. And so I think it's just being honest. Is your activity really where it needs to be? Are you only really good to schedule 4 appointments? Is that who you are? Is that who you intend to be? Or are you going to push and drive yourself? Nobody's going to do it for us. Hayden's not going to make phone calls for me. I'm not going to make phone calls for Karen, right? But we have to hold ourselves accountable. And as a brand new agent, you've got to change that mindset. You're no longer an employee, right? You are self-employed and you have to hold yourself accountable. And you'll do that again. Got to have those resources, do the activity, and then your calendar, of course.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, as we wrap up, one of the things I think that really helped myself getting started, and I didn't know this, obviously we get started, have we ever owned a business, right? It's very different, right? You might have punched a clock, you may have done it electronically, and now you're like, holy, heck, like we gotta go buy leads. It's nuts. But you have to look at it. I know Brad Smith talked about the slide. Said once you understand how this business works, it's just like an ATM. Right. And I think once you understand that, put your last name at the bank and say the bank at Earhart, the bank of Swann. Right. And when you make that deposit and you understand the metrics, make sure it's a big enough deposit that forces you to take an action. There are healthy ways to extend ourselves. Right. And I know that when I looked at resources and I knew when I got to 300 to 500 to 600, 800 and so on, that forced me to say, hey, I'm not going to invest this and not go do something about it. Right. I needed something to say, hey, this is going to force me to take an action. I'm ready to go do it. So if you don't have that itch or that feeling whenever you invest into your business, go scare yourself a little bit. We got licensed to go bless people, right? We didn't get licensed to buy leads and not call them. You know what I mean? And leads don't mean they're going to buy from us. That means we have an opportunity to go start a conversation and help someone, right? And we got to go take the activity and do what it takes, because our bank accounts in this business, we talk about money a lot, but that's not the main focus, right? But our bank accounts are a reflection of the service that we provide, and we have to grow to a higher income, right? We do. We have to go through and embrace the suck, if you will. And it's just a part of that process. So a question to ask yourself is, what are we focusing on? Are we focusing on the right things? Keep it simple, right? Don't make it harder than it has to be. Don't go reinvent the wheel. Before, if you got started in the last 2 years, well, you didn't have to send applications in and fax them in and do all that stuff. It's all electronic now, right? We're blessed. Let's not overcomplicate it. So Karen, Alice, I appreciate you guys. Always love getting to share some time with you. And thank you guys out there for listening to us. Hope you have a great day. Make sure you know what you're focusing on. And if you don't have something to focus on, get with your upline and your mentor. Have a good day.